Welcome to Mojo Life TV. A lot of people ask, well, what is Mojo Life? And the clue is in the word mojo. One of its meanings is self-confidence and attractiveness, and individuals like Jamie Oliver and companies like Innocent Smoothies, well, they have oodles of it. What they have in common is a strong sense of purpose and a clear understanding of what they stand for. And of course, in the current economic climate, having a strong, authentic message helps you to get noticed, to stand out from the crowd. Through Mojo Life, we help individuals and businesses to find their voice, what makes them distinctive. And this clarity and confidence makes it easier for buyers to choose them as opposed to their rivals. Mojo Life also incorporates a concept called speakeasy, and this helps people to do justice to their story when they're presenting ideas to potential clients. At Mojo Life, we love meeting people who found that sense of purpose, and they're running authentic businesses with passion. And that's why I'm delighted to introduce you to Helen Varey, an extraordinary lady with an inspiring story, a lady with mojo. Now, Helen, you combine what might be termed a day job with something a bit more remarkable, I guess. Tell us about both.
Well, the day job is I work for a local driving school based in Manchester, and we have over 200 franchisees, driving instructors throughout the length and breadth of the UK. And my role is to ensure that we provide services in line with their franchise contracts. And I also head up the instructor training program. So the idea is that we train people to become driving instructors, and they filter through into the driving school, and my job is to provide the service as part of their contract. That's the day job, and it's a job I've been doing for 11 years. 7 of those years have been at director level. My other job...
So when you leave the office then, you enter a phone box, you spin around and you come out as...
During the course of the evening, I do just that, and I come out as the founder of Beyond Big Bones. And Beyond Big Bones is a self-actualization program that helps people who are challenged by weight, just as I am, to turn their life around, to lose weight, to engage in projects and goals in order to become healthy.
So how did Beyond Big Bones come about? Tell us the backstory, so to speak.
There wasn't actually a moment really when I decided that this is the time for Beyond Big Bones. It was really a collection of events and thoughts and feelings that led me to the conclusion that something else was needed. I'd spent the best part of 30-odd years yo-yo dieting, struggling to lose weight, and I guess things came to an ultimatum around the summer of 2009, when at my heaviest I weighed just short of 30 stones, and I was finding it very difficult to do simple tasks. That's things like tying shoelaces. I found it very hard to walk upstairs, walk downstairs. I found it very difficult just to fasten a car seatbelt.
And what sort of support were you getting from friends or perhaps the medical community?
I wasn't getting anything from the medical community because, to be honest, I was too ashamed to go and see a doctor, and I was frightened of what the doctor might suggest. So I went to slimming groups. I've tried all the mainstream slimming groups. I read all the personal development books I could find around this subject. I visited therapists. I went to psychotherapists, hypnotherapists. I tried just about everything to find a way that could enable me to lose weight in the long term. Because diet plans are great, but they are very short term. And the final therapist I went to see was a lady with a clinic in Harley Street. And her parting words to me were, "Helen," she said as she took the cheque from me, "when are you going to realise that the power of change lies in your hands?" And
so it's within you, basically.
Exactly.
You were looking for external solutions, but you realised it was from inside you.
Exactly. And it was quite a profound thing for her to say. And I left that meeting and decided to do what I do best, and that's ignore advice. So I just ignored it completely, and I carried on working and I carried on eating. And eventually, after a period of time, I was beginning to realise that my only solution would be to have an operation, and that was to follow the path of having a gastric bypass. And I didn't really want to engage in that, as I felt that I could do more for myself. And I was watching a programme on television, the Great Swim series. I think it's currently showing at the moment. And I was fascinated that people of all ages could just get in water and
what
swim.
is the series? Tell us about the series.
It's the Great Swim Series. It's sponsored by British Gas, and it shows events at various locations throughout the UK where families, doesn't matter what age you are, young and old, can swim for 1 mile in open water. And the reason for that is to get you fit. And I saw the programme, and I've always enjoyed being in water, and there was just something about it that I felt that I could do. I assumed that you would need to be very fit to take part in an event like that. So I Googled it anyway and realised that actually you just need to be able to wear a wetsuit, and you need to be able to swim for 1 mile in open water, and you need to be able to swim for 1 mile in open water wearing the wetsuit. And I couldn't do any of those. I could barely swim a length of my swimming pool.
So this was when you were at your low point, basically.
It was at
my
lowest
saw this
point.
programme, yeah.
Yeah, I was at my lowest point. I was at my heaviest. My blood pressure was absolutely soaring. And I saw the programme, and there was just something about it that was a purpose for me to take part in the event. So I signed up. And it was...
You signed up, but you knew you couldn't do it at that moment. Right.
Yeah, it really was against all the odds.
Yeah.
But I signed up anyway, and I began to figure out, how am I going to achieve this event? How am I going to get myself fit enough into a wetsuit to be able to take part in the event that was the following year?
But who else knew of your ambition to do this? Did other people find it strange that you'd signed up for this, or...?
At first, I didn't tell anybody, and I figured out the stages along the way. And then as I began to do each stage, so for example, the first stage was to be able to swim a few lengths in my local pool. And through that came some conversations with people about, well, why do you want to swim 70-odd lengths of the pool? And when I told people what I was going to do, then they might suggest, what, do you raise money for this event? Okay, so that set me off on a different path of how to go about raising some money to do the event. And I figured out how I was going to achieve the goal by taking some baby steps. Now, what was interesting was, while I was figuring all of that out, I was also going to a local diet group, and that was helping me to get started losing weight. And I found that gradually I was no longer on the diet plan, and that actually I'd figured out a way of managing my own lifestyle.
So it was the goal and the sense of purpose that actually was the start of the solution for you.
Precisely. Yeah. I found I was becoming emotionally very stable. I took my eye off diet plans and focused it more on purpose. And I found that when I gave myself a significant goal, the weight just came off. And altogether I lost just under 10 stones. I'm still on that journey, and I've set myself up for some more events next year. And I completed the first swim, which was in July 2010, and I went on to do a second swim, which was in Salford Quays. And this year I completed the Lake Windermere swim and the Salford Quays event, and I intend to repeat those next year with an additional 2 events. One of those is to cycle for 40 kilometres in Cornwall. Now, the problem there is I haven't got a bike. Oh, actually, it did come yesterday, so I have not ridden the bike yet. So I've set myself another goal, and the purpose being to continue to lose weight to achieve that goal.
But it's wonderful, because obviously this is being interviewed as part of the Mojo Life TV series, and Mojo Life celebrates when people or businesses find purpose. And you have found that through, the experience that you've had. But tell us more about, Beyond Big Bones. How did that idea come to fruition?
Have you ever met somebody who's tried to lose weight and they've gone on a diet? And it may even been someone like yourself. So you've engaged in a diet plan, you've lost weight, and then the moment you come away from that plan, you regain the weight and more besides. Now, that was my experience, and it's the experience of most people that I talk to. And what I found frustrating was that diet plans are for the short term, and there needs to be a long-term solution. And in Beyond Big Bones, what we do is help people turn the dream into a reality, and we focus on the power of the brain working with the body to achieve a long-term solution. And in the workshops that we run over a 12-week period, we provide the tools and techniques to enable that to happen.
And is a lot of that to do, with your own experience of finding through goal setting and having purpose that empowers you and gives you, direction? You feel more in control and moving in a positive direction. Yeah,
there is nothing in Beyond Big Bones that I haven't tried myself. and this year was the experimental year of the first workshop, and we took half a dozen people through the programme to see what results we would get. I thought it would be a workshop where we'd swap recipes and somehow we'd lose weight, but actually it turned into more of a life coaching, personal fulfillment kind of program, and the plan is to repeat that in 2012 with setting objectives for the group as well.
So let's go back slightly. So is Beyond Big Bones a company or is it a movement? What exactly is it?
It's a movement at the moment. My dream is to turn it into a company and to have every town with a Beyond Big Bones practitioner. Once we've set down what the process is, and that's what I'm engaged in at the moment, is developing the workbook and the audio guide, and the next stage would be to train people to deliver the programme and promote it. And I would envisage that happening in the early part of next year.
And what we've certainly found through Mojo Life is that when people hear stories such as yours, they come forward. Have you found that people have been attracted to your way of thinking by people who are struggling with more conventional solutions?
Yes, yeah. And the greatest accolade I had was somebody who came forward and said, "I'm glad it's you because you've been there and you understand exactly what that problem is," rather than perhaps a group leader of a slimming group who may well also have been overweight, but boy do I understand the problems with somebody who is struggling to lose weight.
And a great message, I think, as well in business, isn't it? Because it's authenticity that people admire and are drawn towards. You know, you've done that, you've walked the walk yourself.
Exactly.
It's not just you've grasped it from somewhere and you're spouting a new theory. It's actually something that you've lived through.
Yeah, it's something that I've personally experienced and want to share it with others.
Yeah, yeah. So where does give me an example of somebody that you've been working with. I'm looking for a success story. Can you give us a specific example, an individual, without obviously revealing too many details?
Yes, sure. We had one gentleman who came to the group. He weighed just short of 30 stones, and he'd already begun his weight loss journey before he arrived at Beyond Big Bones. But during his time in the workshop, the change about him was quite remarkable. He began to smile again. He engaged in healthy activities. He did a 50-kilometre static bike ride to raise money. He completely turned his life around. His diabetes was reversed. And that's one example where somebody who is struggling in life comes along to the group, gets something from the workshops and sets themselves some meaningful goals. We had another example of a lady who lost 1.5 stone without going on a diet. And she said to me just the other day that she didn't realise that she had so much potential. And there was no diet plan. We had another 2 ladies who have engaged in other activities and started to, if you like, change their careers. So they didn't lose much weight, but they realised that they had something about them that was just so much more than they were doing at the time.
But so much of this seems to revolve around setting goals. You know, it's identifying something that you're aiming towards.
Sure. Yeah, what we do is identify what is it you want to do, taking you away from thinking about food and diets and what you should weigh and what your BMI should be, but what is it that you actually want to do in life? And we do various workshops around that theme. Once we've figured out what it is that you want to do, then we work out the steps that you need to take to achieve it and who's going to support you in those steps. Now, it might be that you want to weigh X amount of stones. It might be that you want to be a size 10. Whatever it is. Or it could be that you're thinking of changing your career. And somewhere in that goal map is health. So we figure out how it's achievable. We figure out who's going to help the individual. We figure out what the emotional reasons are for achieving the goal. Because the more emotionally connected you are to your goal, the more motivated you are to achieve it.
You also mentioned there that it's important who's helping you or who's involved in your little network.
Yes.
Tell us more about that, because the support that you have to pursue this goal is very important, isn't it?
Yes, I started off this year networking with a vengeance because I wanted to share my story with people and get some feedback as to how it might develop. And I learnt how to present the story. I visited local speakeasy groups. I figured out the best way of putting together the package. I contacted people within my business network who were involved in marketing and brand marketing, and sought advice on how to build the website. I connected with people who were able to promote me from a health perspective. I contacted, just by chance, I involved in a conversation with the local hotel group near where I live, the Marriott Hotel in Worsley Park, and a chance conversation led to them supporting me and giving me some free space to be able to present the workshops. And it was that kind of thing that just kept the movement going. And then through word of mouth, people were coming forward to say, yeah, can I be part of it? Can I come along? And I just wanted a small number initially and got that in a very short space of time. And then in the recent weeks, I've had people come forward to say they'd like to be involved in a practitioner level in actually developing the groups themselves. And I feel quite buoyed by that.
But it's interesting because having found a cause or a mission, so to speak, that you've been personally involved with, it's an authentic journey you've been on, you've found that not only people who've experienced the kind of things that you've been experiencing are coming forward, but also you're getting support from the likes of the Marriott.
Yes.
Because they like what you stand for.
Absolutely. Yeah, they provided the facilities, they allowed me to speak to their members and give a presentation, and they supported the philosophy that it's not about diets. In fact, just recently I noticed some very well-known celebrity diet leaders offering a similar service, not quite the same, but something very similar. And I was pleased that at last it's being recognised that the way forward is not following a diet plan. That has its limitations.
So what sort of help are you looking for now?
At the moment I'm writing the workbook, and I would love to find an illustrator who is happy to work on a pro bono basis. That's one area. I also want to present the next workshops in the spring 2012, so I've been looking for space that we can use to do the workshops, and I'm also looking to market the next group to a much wider audience. So I'm looking for marketing support. So if there's any support coming forward in those areas, I'd be delighted.
But I think also, Helen, that the people listening to this interview will find you a very inspirational person and a story. And perhaps there'll be other speaking opportunities for you, because I've heard you speak and present. And I know you came to Speakeasy to try and improve that. And I was faced with a dilemma. How on earth do we make this woman better at telling this story? So you know, I hope that the listeners out there will seize the opportunity to use you for speaking engagements, because it's a wonderful, inspiring message that you've got. Yeah,
and I've found in the message that I present in the workshops doesn't just resonate with people who want to lose weight. There's actually a number of very clever strategies in there. It's not anything particularly new, it's old news, but it's not often common practice. So through the workshops I'm able to engage in businesses to get the message through to their workforce and just how to be better people.
But I think there's also the wider implication of, you know, given the economy at the moment and lots of people out of work or students, you know, struggling to enter the world of work, this sense of finding purpose and meaning is really what reinvigorates people.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Well, Helen Varey, thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
And we wish you the very best of luck.
Thank you.